We are pleased to welcome the youngest New York City Council member as our guest on Brooklyn 45. And later in the program, we'll be hearing from a young academic achiever who will be talking to Camella Fairweather. City Council member Osse, we want to welcome you to Brooklyn 45.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You are still in your very early 20s. How were you able to get the 200,000 Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights residents to know you and, of course, to want to vote for you?
That's a great question, Sam, and I'm asked it often throughout my career. I jumped into my race in the summer of 2020 during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement and decided to run for office because I was frustrated with this level of complacency that I witnessed within city government, especially when it came to representation in my district. When jumping into the race, I had to learn a lot, both about city government as well as campaigning. But I had a great team of grassroots organizers and people that supported me and my efforts that campaigned the old school way. We knocked on thousands of doors, made thousands of calls, and also campaigned in the new school way. We utilized social media, various different youth outlets, engaged young people in a way that they have never been engaged before in a local race. And I was truthful throughout the entirety of my campaign. And through my year-long campaign, we were able to reach so many voters and able to convince them and believing in a new future of leadership for the people of the 36th district.
I've been reading your website, and it says your work is focused on implementing innovative and human-centered public safety solutions. I want to talk about those public safety solutions. What are they?
Absolutely. Well, I think oftentimes when we hear about public safety, I think the immediate thing that people think of is law enforcement and police. And that has been the answer, or at least has seemed to be the response throughout decades of leadership in this city. We continue to throw dollars and dollars at the NYPD, yet we still see some of these same problems within our communities. And some of these problems are root causes of poverty. When you look at my community, which is a predominantly Black district, you see disinvestment within public housing, within education, within infrastructure, within sanitation. All of these various different outlets and institutions yield to poverty, thus yielding to violence. When we send our resources and invest in our communities, we will see safer outputs and more public safety within communities that have had a public safety problem for as long as they have.
How successful have you been in the short time that you've been in City Council? And I say short time because I know you're going to be in City Council a much longer time.
That's a great question, and I hope I stay in council for as long as I can. Listen, I've had a very productive time within my tenure in the City Council. I've passed 2 pieces of legislation, becoming the youngest person to pass a bill in the New York City Council's history. One of the bills was in a bill where I worked with several of my colleagues, and it was called the Rat Action Plan. So it was a couple different bills that would hopefully make a dent in the increasing rodent population here in the city. Today, I stood with the mayor, along with my colleagues, a part of the Rat Pack is what we called ourselves, in announcing the first rat czar of New York City, who will take science-based approaches in reducing the rising rodent populations here in our district. Now, that may seem like a minor issue to many New Yorkers, but it was the #1 thing that I heard on the campaign trail when I was running for office, and it's something that I want to stick by in terms of my time as a council member. My first bill that I passed was actually a bill that would codify the Narcan Behind Every Bar program. So fentanyl overdoses are on the rise, not only in New York City, but across the country. And every single overdose that happens from fentanyl is preventative. So we instituted a bill that would provide Narcan, which is a life-saving anti-overdose chemical, to every single bar and nightclub here in New York, so that we can save a New Yorker's life that is potentially going through overdose. So I still get DMs and messages today of people that say that they know others that have been saved, their lives have been saved because of this piece of legislation, which is such gratifying news to hear in the work that I do.
I want to get back to public safety. A
Sure.
big story all over the news is gun violence, gun control. I'm sure that you heard of those two young men like yourself from
Yes.
Tennessee who were expelled because they decided they were going to protest in
Yes.
in an effort to get his colleagues to consider that gun control is important and is essential. How do you feel about what has happened very recently? They're being expelled. Now they have been told they can come back in.
You know, Sam, I'm often asked about who inspires me, especially when it comes to my journey to politics. And people expect me to say, you know, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And yes, they are inspiring to me. But the most inspiring individuals that I get inspired by every single day are young Black revolutionaries, like the folks that we are seeing do great work, the two Justins in Tennessee. I've been so inspired by their activism, by their leadership. I've also been scared, you know, at how fragile our democracy is, and a bit of kinship. You know, while New York City is not a Republican majority, or the New York City Council is not led by a Republican majority, I do often feel like my leadership or my voice, sometimes within the council, is not taken as seriously, maybe as some of the other members, maybe because of my age. But I do have so much to offer. And I feel like those two, the two Justins in Tennessee, while they are, you know, leading in a Republican majority in the Tennessee House, I do feel and hear their anger, but also their power and the sentiments that they shared and what went on. And I really am inspired by their leadership in tackling gun violence, not only in Tennessee, but across this country.
And I'm sure that now, after people are aware of what has happened with the two Justins, the Justin Jones and the Pearson Jones, that they've now added a third.
Yes, yes.
Remember Osse.
Right. Maybe. They're just a lot, they're so much more inspiring, but I aspire to be like that.
Yes, and I'm sure that you're not going to be expelled from City Council.
No, I'm not going to be expelled from the City Council, but I am inspired to continue raising my voice, both within the body as well as outside.
A big story these days has to do with a robo dog, a robotic dog. What do you think about that? I know the mayor has had some criticism about it in the past, and it's now being reintroduced. I don't know if it's going to be introduced in your district. I know that very soon we're going to see it in certain areas of New York and Brooklyn. What do you think about that robo dog? I think they call it Digi Dog.
DigiDog. Sam, listen, I think it's ludicrous. Looking around the district that I represent, I have schools that saw cuts last year, that are without water fountains because of a lack of funding that exists in the city. I have NYCHA developments that are crumbling, where folks are going without heat in the winter and dealing with extreme pest issues in the summer because of a lack of funding in NYCHA. Those two DigiDogs cost taxpayers $750,000. When we are seeing cuts across the board to every single one of our city agencies, our libraries, our schools, mental health services, why are we spending money, $750,000 on taxpayer dollars on toys, on robot toys that would police our communities even more? The NYPD already receives a sizable amount of taxpayer dollars. I know that the fiscal future of New York City is not looking too bright, but when we're seeing cuts across many of the different services that you, myself, and every single New Yorker wants to continue to see within their communities, we have to take a second look and understand that that is a waste of money to spend it on surveillance dogs.
Now, you are co-chair of the Brooklyn Delegation. Tell our viewers about the Brooklyn Delegation, what it is, and what do you do as a member and as a co-chair of the Brooklyn Delegation?
Absolutely. So as the Brooklyn Delegation is a delegation of 16 members, we're the biggest delegation in the City Council. It's with every single council member that represents a district in Brooklyn. Not only do I delegate the budget within my district of the 36th district, but alongside my co-chair, Farrah Lewis, we organize the entire delegation budget. So we put together a budgetary process in which the additional funds that we receive as a delegation are going to various different organizations and capital funded projects across the borough. In my second year of being the co-chair of the Brooklyn Delegation, we decided to create a theme of this year in terms of where the funding was going. And that theme was to tackle gun violence in Brooklyn. So we provided a framework to members of the delegation to put forward organizations that provide public safety within our communities, whether it was mental health care, whether it was youth services to folks that are potentially close to becoming participants in crime. And I'm very proud of this work. And not only being, again, the youngest member of the council, but being given the opportunity and being entrusted by my colleagues in co-chairing the largest delegation within the New York City Council.
You are not only a co-chair, you're also a chair. You're chair of the committee responsible for cultural affairs, for libraries and international intergroup relations. But let's talk about your work as a co-chair of these very important elements.
Thank you for that question, Sam. Listen, I come from culture. My father was an attorney in the music industry. My late grandfather, Teddy Van, was a terrific music producer. So when going into the council, I wanted to always bring my identity with me. When it came to advocating for a committee I wanted to chair, culture spoke true to me because it's everything, not only that I am, but what this city is, and most especially what Black New York is, right? New York City is so attractive to all these new people that are moving in because of the culture that has been created here. New York City is the cultural capital of the world. And on top of that, out of every city in this country, the most amount of public funds and taxpayer dollars in a city government that goes to cultural institutions and organizations happens here in New York City. So I'm a champion for our cultural organizations. I'm a champion for our libraries. Our libraries are such important institutions for our communities. Not only are they there for books, but they're there for senior services, services for our young folks, digital literacy, an array of different services. So I'm so proud to support, this community that every single New Yorker benefits from. Libraries and our cultural institutions are what makes New York, New York. They are economic engines. They're public spaces. And throughout my tenure in the council and chairing this committee, we've secured a record amount of investment for both our culturals and our libraries. And now in this second budget that I'm in, I'm fighting to protect potential cuts that the mayor is putting forward to our libraries.
I'm going to ask you, do you play any instruments? Do you sing? What do you do in terms of the performing arts?
So that's the thing, my siblings are definitely more creative than I am, but I do DJ. If anyone comes to the Tompkins Avenue open streets, you'll catch your council member DJing here and there. I actually used to work in nightlife before I was in government. So, I love music. I think I have a great taste in music, and it was definitely passed down through my family.
We have a program called Young Academic Achievers. If you haven't seen it yet, I know you're going to look at it as soon as you're able to look at our Brooklyn 45 programs. And in fact, also in this program is a Young Academic Achiever. And we're hoping that we can get you involved in some way or other with our Young Academic Achievers.
Sam, absolutely. I mean, I think it's my life's work within this job to make sure that the youth feel engaged, right? So often young people feel like they're being talked down to, whether it's from their elected officials or anyone in any position of power. But I'm so close to the age of many of our young people, and it's been just an honor to be able to speak at various different schools and work with our young people. So I will definitely check out this program and would love to get involved in any way, shape, or form.
Too many of our Black men are are not doing well in school or not doing well in college. And what would be your message to these young men to get them to perform well in school and perform well in college?
Yeah, I think, rather than looking at it as what should I recommend to them, I think it's my job to present opportunity to them, right? The only difference between, a white kid from the Upper East Side and a black kid from Bed-Stuy is opportunity, right? If we are providing our young black men with opportunity in music, business, politics, art, fashion, then I believe that we will see our communities soar. Our communities have been deprived from such opportunity. We've seen a lack of investment in that opportunity, whether it's in our public schools, down to economic development and job programs that are presented within our communities. And that's why I have so much work ahead of me, but a lot of fire in me to present those opportunities. Because I know that because of my upbringing and the opportunities that I've been given, I'm so grateful to be where I am today. But I'm no different than any of my neighbors that are around me, that are the same age as me. They just need the same opportunities presented to them.
You talked about providing monies. How are budgetary issues impacting your work and impacting what you were able to do in your Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights community?
Sam, the budget is everything. New York City has a $102 billion budget. That is bigger than every single state budgets in this country, except Texas and California. When we look at the budget, and when we hear that there's not enough money for schools, for healthcare, for streets, but there's enough money for DigiDogs, I get frustrated, right? And that's why it's been both a pleasure, but also a frustration to be making as much noise as I have been about critiquing the past budgets that I have seen during my tenure as a council member. Budgets are moral documents. When our communities have not been receiving an equitable investment, like many other communities in our city, of course, I'm going to be the loudest complainer, but also cheerleader for my community and making sure that they receive what they rightfully deserve.
What do you see as your strengths or the strengths of the people in your district, both young people and older people like myself, but particularly young people?
So the strength of my district, I mean, Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights are two of the most impactful Black meccas in the city, if not this country. And there's so much care for protecting what we created, and now this community that is seen as so admirable. In terms of my strength as a council member, especially in the young age that I'm in, I'm really able to navigate social media and other streams of communications and getting the word out about issues that are important to my neighbors. How government can do 18 million things that could be good and beneficial for our communities, but if they're not getting that information to our neighbors, then how good is government really? So I'm really utilizing the young people within my district have been very helpful in this in getting the word out about things that will push our communities forward. That's something I'm so excited about continuing to do throughout my own work within my office, but also planting that seed within my young constituents.
One of the big stories in the news have been abortion. Have you been approached as to what the city council may be doing? We know that the abortion issue is probably going all the way up to the Supreme Court. But what do you say about what has been happening, this reversal of Roe versus Wade and the efforts to deny young women and older women, slightly older women, the opportunity to have an abortion?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I'm proud to be part of a city council that passed a package of various different abortion-friendly legislation last year, and providing free abortion pills to those that are seeking abortion here in New York City, along with a couple other different pieces of legislation that will protect and provide access to abortion for those that are seeking abortion in the city. The GOP and Republicans talk all about a pro-life agenda or wanting to care for children that are not born yet they don't give a damn about those that are born. When you see how they will fail to make any type of changes to gun restrictions or gun reform, how can you really take them seriously about being so pro-life, as they call it? They are allowing young children to be shot and ripped to shreds by AK-47s in schools across the country, but dare to talk down to Democrats about life that is not, even a clump of cells yet. So I'm definitely a fierce advocate for being pro-choice. A woman has the right to choose, and I will continue to fight to make sure that that's a priority within my leadership.
New York City Council member Osse. It's a pleasure finally seeing you in person, and listening to you. And we look forward to having you back on Brooklyn 45. We want to wish you success as a councilman, and particularly since you are the youngest member of the City Council, the New York City Council. Again, congratulations. We have 30 seconds left. Let me give you the last word, 30 seconds.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Sam. Please find me on my social media to keep up with the work that we are doing within the council. You can find me on Instagram at CHIOSSE, Twitter at OSSECHI, and we do have a podcast that is coming out soon through Brick Media to talk about all things politics, both on the macro and the micro level.
Fantastic. Again, congratulations and thank you, Council Member Osse.
Thank you.
And now over to you, Camella.
So today on Young Academic Achievers, we are highlighting Miss Asia Mottley. I'm so excited to have you today, Asia.
Hi.
So I have heard some amazing things about you. You are an exceptional and stellar academic student. You are in the 90 percentile. You are focused. You are really excited about your academics, and you're doing really well. And so we're really happy to have you with us today. So please tell me a little bit about you, your drive, what inspires you to do so well in school, and tell us a little bit about what you like.
My whole entire life, my mom was telling me that I have to be great because I am great. So I implicated that into my schoolwork. Like if I got something below an 80, I would always like freak out quietly. So that helped me reach where I am now. My passions, I like reading, writing, painting, and drawing. It helps me focus and see the world differently.
Nice, nice. So tell me a little bit about some of your accomplishments. Like, what are your favorite subjects? Where do you really get driven, and where's your passion?
My favorite subjects are history and science, more specifically global history. I'm interested in global history because it tells us the events, it tells the events of the past and how we got to the future, well, the present, and how we are going to get to the future. And I like science because I feel like it's one of the most hands-on studies, and like learning how things are always interested me.
Nice. What would you say to inspire young people who are watching us today, who are listening to you and saying, well, you know, she did well, but what did it take for Asia to do so well? And how are you going to bring all of these things together? And what are your intentions in your own life as you create a space in the planet for you, with your name on it?
I have to say to my peers is that even though school can be kind of boring sometimes, you need to find the most interesting parts and like try to use that to use in all your in all your classes, and like, yeah, and use what you learn in your classes to take it out into the real world, because that's where everything changes, and that's where majority of your life is going to be like after school. So yeah.
And what does Asia want to be when Asia actually steps out into this platform called the world? What is the footprint that you are going to leave?
I want to be a film director because I want to use what I learned to like say it to the world and like make my mark. Like, I don't need to be some big time famous film director. I just need some people to watch what I'm trying to create. So,
Well,
yeah.
wouldn't that amount to being a big time film director? I mean, you are a woman, a young woman, and I'm so inspired by you. I'm really excited about your future. Keep on doing the amazing things that you're doing. Keep on using your voice. Keep on inspiring your peers. And I'm excited to see what Asia Mottley is going to be as you step out into the world. Asia, it's been an amazing time with you. Thank you so much for coming and joining us at Brooklyn 45 for a Young Academic Achievers segment. And I'm really, 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 really excited about seeing you on the screen someday and saying, I interviewed this young lady when she was in high school, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. Thank you, Asia, for joining us today at Brooklyn 45. It's been so wonderful sharing this time with you and speaking with you. Is there any last things that you would like to say?
I would like to say thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts.
Thank you. We really enjoy you and appreciate your presence. Thank you again, and back to you, Sam.
Thank you, Camella. Please share information about this program with your family and friends and with members of your organization, your community, your group, and your church, and also your colleagues at work. Brooklyn 45 is a 501c3 not-for-profit, and we welcome your support, your financial support also. You can also message us with topics you'd like us to discuss. On behalf of our Brooklyn 45 team, I am Sam Taitt.
Brooklyn 45 is a 501c3 not-for-profit, and we welcome your support. Check out our website, brooklyn45.com, and feel free to donate or share it with your friends and family. Have any comments or questions? Send them to our Facebook, facebook.com/Brooklyn45TV. If you have any questions or topics you think we should cover next, shoot me an email over at brooklyn45tv@gmail.com. Thank you again for watching.